Okay, let's go ahead and get you guys, or walk you guys through the process of setting up your Maya projects, in addition to setting up your image planes and getting everything ready to begin modeling. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I have this new Maya scene set up here. I'm going to click on File, and I'm going to come down to Project Window. That'll bring up the Project Window pane. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. So go ahead and hit New, and I'm going to give this project a name. I'll go ahead and call this project Assignment 1 because it corresponds with the project that you're currently working on. All right, after we've given the project a name, let's go ahead and determine the location. And in my case, I am going to just go ahead and put this on my desktop. So I'll go ahead and hit Choose, and then I'm just going to leave all this information in the primary project locations alone. And what will happen is Maya will create a project folder with a whole bunch of subfolders in there for things like your Maya scenes, for images, source images, movies, things of that nature. So I'll go ahead and hit Accept. And then if I toggle over to my Finder, and I'll go to my desktop and come down and find that Assignment 1 folder, you can see that we have all these new subfolders that correspond with the inputs that were there in that project window pane. And what we can do is I'll go ahead and select the source images folder and come over to some of my orthographic reference. I'll go ahead and grab the park bench this time. And I'm going to copy all of my orthographic reference, the front, this side, and the top. And I'll just go ahead and drag it right there into the source images folder. And then I will hop back over into Maya. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that I'm in the Polygons submenu. You can toggle in between the different sections of the program with this drop down up in the upper left-hand corner. So I'll go ahead and select Polygons, and then that'll give me the appropriate menu items across the top that you'll need to complete this first assignment. Now I will go ahead and click on Create and come down to Free Image Plane. And what that's going to do is it's going to add in this, this box right in the center of our perspective grid. Currently it's green because it's selected. If I click off to the side, you'll see the color changes to this magenta. All I need to do is click on it or do a drag selection on it to reselect it. Now what I want to do is I want to go to my attribute editor. Now if the attribute editor or the channel box editor or neither of those tabs are available for you over here on the right of the user interface, they're probably turned off with these icons across the top. So if you go ahead and click on that, that turns on our attribute editor right there. This one turns on our tool settings, and this third option turns on our channel box. So once again, I'm going to go back over to the attribute editor, and I want to look at the image plane attributes. And what you'll see is you'll see this little field where we can actually link an image to that image plane. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and we'll go ahead and start with the front one, so bench underscore front. We'll go ahead and select that and hit open, and you can see that it's replaced that image plane with our front reference. Now, one thing I did not point out is down here in the lower left-hand corner of the viewport, you see you have this little point of reference for orientation. We have the z-axis, we have the x-axis, and we have the y-axis. The z-axis is our depth axis, so forwards and backwards, in and out of space. The x-axis is our horizontal axis, so side to side, and the y-axis is our up and down axis. Now that's important to know and understand so that we put the appropriate images or image planes along the appropriate axes. Okay, so currently we put the front on the x-axis because that's the way that it's facing, and so that's exactly where we want it. And we'll go ahead and leave it alone there for the moment. I'm now going to click on Create. I'm going to come down to Free Image Plane, and let's see what happens. Okay. Just leave that little option box alone. Let's go ahead and select Free Image Plane once again. Okay, this time, we're still in the attribute editor. Let's go down to the image plane attributes and select the side. All right, and we'll hit open, and you can see it appear right there. Now the problem with the side point of view is that currently it's oriented along our x-axis, but our sideways axis is, or I'm sorry, currently it's oriented along the z-axis, which is our forward and backward axis, that we need to orient it along the x-axis. So with it still highlighted in green, let's come over here and click on the channel box editor. Okay, and let's see, I'm not seeing the options I want. I'm going to deselect and then reselect that image plane. And what it'll do is it'll give us our basic translate values, rotate values, and scale values. And I'm going to translate this along the along the y-axis, 90 degrees. And so that ends up having the same, or the appropriate orientation for this image plane. Okay, now finally, let's go ahead and create the top image plane. So click on Create, come down to Free Image Plane, click on that, go back to my attribute editor. I'll click on this little folder icon next to the image name attribute, and let's go ahead and select Bench Top and hit Open. Okay. Now you can see that it needs to be oriented as per the y-axis because currently it's oriented as per the z-axis, as we can view right down in here. So I'll go back to the channel box editor. Actually, I'm going to this time click on the little rotate icon, and I'm going to grab the red handle because we'll be rotating it around the x-axis. So let's go ahead and start to tip that backwards in space. All right, now I don't think that's fully a 90 degrees, so I'll just click off of it and then reselect it. So it resets my channel box attributes. And I can see that I went over by about 3 degrees, so I'll just manually enter in -90 right there. Okay, and so we have all 3 points of view, but they're all kind of scrunched together right there in the center of our grid. So now what I can do is I can just manually push them back and get them out of the way. So I'm going to push the front back along the x-axis -12 degrees, and that'll put us right on the edge of our little reference grid. I'll select the side ortho, and I'll push it back along the x-axis. I'm sorry if I said x-axis for this one, I meant the z-axis. Let's go back to the side view, and I'll manually enter in a value of -12. And then I'll grab the top ortho and go ahead and push that down there -12 degrees just to make sure that it's nice and out of the way. So as we're modeling right here in the center of the grid, our orthographic reference will not be getting in the way at all. Now, one thing I did not discuss with you in class, and I'll go ahead and take the opportunity to do so right here, is we can hold down Shift and simultaneously select all 3 image planes. Now, right down in here, this is our layer editor. What I can do is I can click on this icon right here. It has a little ball, looks like on top of a plane next to a sun. That is create a new layer and assign these selected objects to that layer. So I'll go ahead and do that. And you can see we have our new layer right down here, and I can click on it, and the edit layer option, or the edit layer, it's like a little option window pops up. And I can go ahead and rename this layer to Orthos, which is short for orthographic images. Now, just so you know, you cannot give objects or items names that include spaces or special characters. If I wanted to call this, let's say I wanted to call it orthographic images, I'd have to insert an underscore for Maya to be able to recognize that name. But I'll go ahead and hit Save. And next to it, you can see I have a little checkbox of the V. I can toggle the visibility of my images off and on as I toggle off the visibility of the layer. Now, something else that I can do is this second checkbox. If I click on it not once but twice, I've effectively locked those objects so I cannot inadvertently grab them and move them or change the translation or the rotation or the scale or other attributes that are associated with those with those image planes. And now all I need to do is, if I tap my space bar, it'll take me back to my 4 viewport mode. I can come and take a look at this from the top view, and I can actually start modeling objects to the scale of my reference. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. You guys go ahead and take over the project and run with it. And be sure to refer to lynda.com to find supplemental information on doing polygonal modeling. Good luck.